Hi, Jacky. Welcome to Bihar on the Block show. So happy to have you on. And you, by the way, are my first lender, professional lender on the show. So this is exciting. I hope the audience will be able to get some value out of this and really understand what the SBA is and how it works and how people can benefit. So those are some of the things that I want to talk about. So Jacky Kim Dilfer, very exciting to have you on the show, even though I have known you now for many, many years. I feel like I've kind of grown up with you in the business. So it's such a pleasure to sit down with someone that I've known for a long time. So before we kind of get into some of the details of SBA, one question I was curious about from you personally was, my understanding is you got into banking and lending right out of college. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so what led you to go straight into the banking and lending world, immediately after college?
Immediately after college, I was living in the Bay Area in Cupertino, California, which everyone knows is the Silicon Valley. And it was during a time where there was a recession in the high-tech industry, and mortgage rates had dropped back then to what were historic lows, which were in the 4% range. And to be frank, there really weren't a lot of employment opportunities at the time in the Bay Area, other than either residential brokerage, because the real estate market was so hot, or some kind of lending. And after I finished my 2-year internship at NASA, I really wasn't interested in staying in the public sector. So I left my post there and I sat around the house for a couple of months, not knowing what I was going to do. And my dad, he saw this great newspaper article on, actually he saw a job posting for a commercial loan officer at a bank.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, go apply for this job. If you work here, you're going to learn so much about many different kinds of businesses. And from there, you can figure out what you want to do. And that's how I ended up in lending.
Nice. Well, it sounds like we owe your dad a very big thank you for catching that and suggesting it to you, because it's clearly worked out well, and not just well, but way above and beyond that. And for a lot of people that don't know you and Jacky, one thing I was really impressed to read about several times was that the LA Business Journal had named you one of the most influential leaders and one of the top women in banking. And I think that's really impressive, because LA is a very competitive market. It's a very big market, and we have a lot of really savvy, sharp people in all industries in the LA area. And so to be recognized as one of the top players in the banking and lending world, I commend you on that, for sticking it out for so long and having that recognition. So to everybody listening, Jacky is the top of the game when it comes to SBA. So we're really lucky to have her on here for a short while. So Jacky, I want to share with the audience, I want to talk about SBA and an SBA loan. And I haven't talked about that at all. This tends to skew towards real estate, this show. So let's just go back to the very basics for the people that don't know what it is. What is an SBA loan?
An SBA loan is administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and it's basically a government-backed loan whose main purpose is to develop the local economies and assist small to medium-sized businesses in the ability to finance working capital, real estate, and other business needs. And in conjunction with banks, the programs enable the banks to provide businesses with more access to capital at better terms than what may
Okay.
have been available.
And how long has the SBA program been around?
The SBA programs have been around since the 1950s, believe it or
Oh,
not.
wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay. And has it always been, I feel like today the SBA loans are very popular, maybe because I'm in the industry, but have they always been as available or as popular, say, in the last 20 years, as opposed to in the 80s, 90s, or 70s? Was it harder to get back then, or is it easier now?
It was absolutely harder to get back then. I think even some people today think that, oh, when they hear SBA and government, it's this long, cumbersome process. And 20, 30, 40 years ago, actually 40 years ago, though SBA was established, not a lot of lenders were doing it. And the government has made SBA lending processes a little bit easier over the last 20 years so that more capital can be deployed to the business owners.
Right.
So I would say 20 years ago, it might have taken 6 months to a year for someone to get an SBA loan, whereas
Wow.
now the timing is right in line with any other conventional financing. So
Okay.
as we can close an SBA deal in 30 days, which 15 years ago, that was unheard of.
Yeah, so having things expedited, and it sounds like they've worked out more of the kinks or cut down on paperwork or whatever, but it's good because that's obviously it's always one of the big problems is the time it takes to get loans done, whether SBA or even a conventional loan. And I think even since I've been in the business now about 18, 19 years, I feel like the SBA has gotten a little speedier from when I first started. And even when I first started working with you, I mean, it still takes roughly 60 days-ish, but I feel like there are a lot of cases where it could get up even maybe 45 days or 40 days in some cases. So that's good. So Jacky, why is it important for small businesses, and maybe we can define small businesses, but why is it important for small businesses to be aware of an SBA loan, and why should they think about utilizing it if they're say a distribution, a manufacturing company, and they're looking to acquire their warehouse today? Why should they consider an SBA loan?
They should consider an SBA loan for many reasons. One, the equity injection requirement or the down payment required is much lower than a conventional loan. In most cases, all they need is 10% down.
10%.
Yes.
Okay.
Secondly, the rates available on the SBA loan are significantly lower than conventional financing. So on a 90% loan, their rates currently would be in the 3% range. And it enables the business to save their cash and their capital for other business expenses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how long typically are these SBA loans?
Typically 25 years.
25 years. So let's break this down. So a small business comes up, they have a $5 million acquisition on a warehouse. They come up with $500,000 for a down payment or their equity piece. And the government takes, or the SBA portion takes a second, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they take a second and they finance what, 40% or 50%?
The SBA finances 40%.
40%. And then the SBA, and part of your job is you help partner up with a bank, right? A traditional lender that would finance the first of 50%. And how long is that portion usually?
Usually 25 years as well, sometimes 30.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's super, so way different than a conventional commercial loan where they're typically 10 years a lot of times for investors. So there's a real benefit to them. They can lock in very low rates, especially today, and not worrying about it for the next 25 to 30 years. So who, what it, can you say there's a certain type of business, or what would you say is the range in, for a company in their gross sales volume that could take advantage of an SBA loan today? Because I'm sure there's a lot of there's a lot of small businesses probably listening, or there's people that know small businesses that maybe think, you know what, it's probably better I can get an SBA loan. So what type of small businesses should be looking at it and considering this?
Well, we work with many different kinds of industries, and with LA being as diverse as it is, a bulk of our clients are in the wholesale, manufacturing, distribution, and e-commerce industries. And we're seeing more and more food-related industries, and we can also finance equipment. We can finance cold storage improvements to the building. We finance doctors who want to buy medical office buildings for their practices. Just kind of the whole gamut of anyone who is a small to medium-sized business. And that definition is not necessarily just your ma and pop dry cleaner who wants to buy their retail space, but it can also be a larger wholesaler who has Home Depot and Walmart as their client. And we can finance projects that are up to 200,000, maybe 300,000 square feet in some cases. So there's a really wide range of businesses that we can help through this program.
So what's the cutoff though, in terms of I'd say what's the floor and ceiling on this, right? What's the range? Okay, little technical pause there, but we're back. So Jacky, I wanted to ask for the small businesses that are listening, or attorneys that know small businesses, for example, what is the floor and ceiling? So what's the smallest company in terms of sales or volume that would consider this, and how high up could you go with company? You mentioned a company that uses 200,000 square feet. So they're doing a massive amount of business there, right? So what is the lending range? Is it a dollar amount that you can lend on the SBA, or is it more on the volume of business that they're doing?
There's a couple of different factors, including what you just said, Anthony. So the first one would be revenue size, and we handle companies that have revenue of 200,000 up to revenue of, the max I've seen is about 500 million. And we really
500 million is getting an SBA loan?
Yes. Wow. So the caveat here is those companies that are generating high.
Okay, we're back. Jacky, so you were just saying that you've seen companies doing revenues of 500 million that have looked into an SBA loan. Is that right?
Yes, and in fact, we've actually closed transactions for some of these larger companies. And the reason is that the US government truly is supporting manufacturing being in the US. They want to keep it here. And if our clients, or if your clients are doing any manufacturing and they have larger revenue and they want to enjoy the benefit of property ownership by putting only 10% down, as long as they have under a certain number of employees, we can still consider them small. It's not to say that we do these often. Most of our client base has sales of about 500,000 to, let's say, 20 million. That would be our main pool of clients, but we can handle smaller, and we can also handle a little bit bigger as well.
Nice, nice. So Jacky, what just a couple more questions and then we'll wind down. What I'd say maybe in the last 12 months we can talk about, and now what type of companies are you working on, or is your company working on, and is it skewing more in one industry, or is it, you know, across multiple industries that for companies that have applied and are using the SBA loans in the last 10 or 12 months?
Yes, we have absolutely seen an increase in companies that have been successful with e-commerce. So to be more specific, home health fitness, food, cosmetics, plastic goods, like anything you'd want to see on Amazon, such as bins, storage, things like that. We've seen business owners in those industries really doing well during this pandemic.
Now, are you working, does BFC work, I know all over California, but do you guys go in other parts of the country too?
On occasion we do. If we have a client that is headquartered here and they're expanding to the Midwest or the East Coast, we can accommodate and help them with their real estate deal, and we can approve, close, and the funding would occur in that state, because some of the out-of-state processes are different and they're judicial, so they don't use escrow. But yes, we do occasionally handle out-of-state transactions, but a bulk of our business is California.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Fair enough. So Jacky, two more questions, and these are more fun questions, and I like to ask my guests before we wrap up the show, since this is an LA-based podcast, and we like to sprinkle on a little bit more LA flavor to it. So just three more things. Well, first, let's end with this. What advice would you give to somebody young that's looking to get into the lending and banking world, and say they, you know, love working with small businesses? What would you recommend for you know, somebody maybe just coming out of college or a couple years out, wants to get into the lending world? Any recommendations, advice, or tips?
Yes, in terms of studies, definitely focus on finance and accounting. That would be critical to your success. Number two, be prepared to work very, very hard. This industry is extremely demanding, especially in LA, where it's so competitive and everyone wants things done yesterday. So you have to have a thick skin and be able to handle a lot of stress. And third, be prepared, if you're really going to enter this business, to never get bored. It's really fun. It's exciting. You're surrounded by great people like yourself, for example, hardworking people, smart, gritty. And in LA, we just have the best of the bunch coming from everywhere around the world. They want to come to LA to work hard and build a business and make a good life for themselves. And it's great to be surrounded by that while you're working in your career.
That's great. You know, one of the things I've admired about you over the years and is your demeanor in dealing with these deals, because a lot of times in commercial real estate, there's so many variables and there's so many things that come in our way, things we didn't plan for. And, you know, deals go sideways and they go left, they go down, they go up, and, you know, they never really go as planned. But, you know, I've worked with you, I've had the pleasure to work with you several times, and I've always appreciated your calmness throughout everything. And I know you take that approach with all of your clients, and I'm sure that has really helped and added to your success and maintaining a very good equilibrium throughout the deal process. So I want to commend you on that, because I've seen people get, you know, it's easy to get emotional in this business and let that take over when those things are really out of our control. But you have always done a really nice job, you know, holding yourself together through it. So wanted to just, you know, publicly recognize that too. So, okay, Jacky, in terms of Los Angeles, there's two questions I wanted to ask you. One, what is your favorite either thing to do or place to visit in Los Angeles?
My favorite thing to do in Los Angeles is eat.
Okay, love it. And do you have an area? Is it a certain part of the city or a restaurant? What would it? Can you dial that in a little tighter?
Oh yes, I will absolutely travel anywhere for food. So there is Koreatown, best Korean food in the world. You can go out to San Gabriel Valley, get the best Chinese food. Um, there are so many great restaurants on the west side, downtown. There's Thai Town, Little Bangladesh, and you can just get the best authentic food. And it's most of the time it's very, very affordable. And that's one of the best things I love about LA. We have the best food and a variety of it too.
I love that answer. No, nobody has said that yet, and a lot of I know a lot of New Yorkers, and they always make fun of us. They think their food is so the best, and New York does have great restaurants, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I think you just got to explore a little bit here in the city, and you can find some really amazing restaurants and some really amazing neighborhoods. So true. Yep. Years ago, I was invited to go out to actually San Gabriel Valley and have true dim sum out there. And that was so much fun. And I'm an LA native, and I had never, ever done that. And I had a client that lived out there, owned a property out there, and we had a meeting, and then, we met on a Sunday and did traditional dim sum. And it was such a great experience.
That's great. I mean,
Yes,
you can go to Indian food, the West Side, and there's Persian Square. It's just I don't think there's anything we don't have here, and I just love that. And
it's so true.
yeah, New Yorker like the fancy stuff they eat, but
I know. So, okay, Jacky, one more question. And I always like to end with this. If you could ask the listeners of Bihar on the Block to do one thing to make Los Angeles a better place for all of us, what would you like to ask people to do?
stay here. Stay here, stick with it. Be loyal to our town. It's a great town. Like every other town, we have our issues that we need to work on. But it is a really dynamic place. Don't give up on it. Don't move.
Don't go to Texas.
We know some people who moved out of state, and it saddens me because they're just leaving a great place.
Yeah, well, that's a great answer. So, Jacky, if people wanted to learn more about SBA or connect with you and BFC, what's the best way people could reach out to you or find you?
They can email me or send me a text anytime.
Do you want to give out a text number?
Or, my mobile is 213-999-1481.
Great. So, guys, BFC, Jacky Kim, the legend, an expert in SBA lending and lending, especially here in Los Angeles. And it was a real treat to have a real pro. Jacky, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us and with this audience. And I look forward to seeing you in person at some point, and hope you and your family stay very safe and healthy during the remainder of COVID.
Thank you. Same to you, Anthony. Thank you for
Thanks.
having me on.
You're so welcome. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye.